problems. But there's another side to the whole story. It's us, how we feel, and our minds, our mental health. And just by a show of hands, who in this room has dealt with any form of mental health issue? Any sort? Please raise your hand. I see. I think that is probably more than half of the room here. And I think it's often something that we just don't talk about. We talk about the business strategies, the venture capital connections, everything that we need to do to build a successful business, but then sometimes it comes at an expense, and sometimes we realize it too late, and then we face things like burnout, breakdowns, anxiety. I think many of you have experienced that. Which is why I am extremely excited to have someone here who actually helps to deal with these issues. And not just deal with these issues, but to really understand where that comes from. A dear friend, Mike, in this room has introduced me to Rupda. Rupda, please come on stage. I only met you about 2 months ago, but I can say you've changed my life. I've been working on myself for many, many years, trying to understand myself, trying to become more conscious. I mean, all the things we heard about from Chad, from Tom, it's about how can we get our level of consciousness to the level of the technologies that we're building today. And I think that the work that you do is so important because it really enabled me to see things that I couldn't see before. And so I'm very excited for you to share that with everyone.
Is this on? Yeah? I also want to give a thank you to this beauty, Julia, for inviting me here, to being with you all. And in part because when anyone does inner transformational work, it's very personal, it's very intimate. So for them to want to kind of bring it out and just say, hey, this is what it's done for me, and how it can benefit you is a big thing. It's a step in itself. Yeah. And also Mike, who she referred to, Mike Rayner, who's also a VC. He's just very dear to my heart, and we somehow collaborated in each other's worlds, and it looks like we have many years ahead of us of more collaboration. It's just a beautiful synergy of how he showed me that this work is needed in the VC and different worlds out there that I didn't even know about. Yeah. Very hard to see you beauties. Hi. Hi. So a lot is needed in how we look at the world today. In fact, I have to be honest, listening to Tom, it really hit me right here. And also Chad, because we're in a really dire straits when it comes to what we're seeing in the world collectively. And that collective has an energy in of itself. So of course it's impacting all of us. And even though a lot of you here in this room are going to be the change makers, my work is in the business of inner change. I support people to make that transformation internally so that they can then support their teams and, of course, those around them in their lives externally. So a little bit of context. I'm not sure if this is going to work. This is a little bit of the domain in where I work, which is the unknown. Because a lot of you guys are research-based, data-driven, and you have to do a lot of, hardcore, in the grind, mental thinking, understandably, before you, jump off the cliff and, start your new venture. I'm in the zone of the not knowing. And when I say that, it's scary for people who have a lot of control in their life. And by the way, just out of curiosity, because I work somatically, who here in this room has tension in their body? I'd just like to see a show of hands. Keep your hands up, please, and take a look around at who else is carrying tension in their body. Please, look around. Look around. So I'm asking you this question because the body never lies. The body never lies. This can tell you all sorts of things, but the body will never lie to you. So I work in 4 centers of intelligence: the head, the body, and the heart, and the unknown. And all of them are giving us feedback. And all of them need to be heard. And when we feel out of alignment, that's when things start to get messy. And when you're only delivering your head to meetings and you're disconnected from your body, you feel tension. Even if you go to the gym every day, and especially if you do extreme sports, because you're not actually really releasing what's in your system, in your body. You're holding. And then I work through the heart. So a lot of my facilitation and teaching people and coaching and companies is to how to access feeling-based leading, which is kind of a scary zone for some people because it starts to invite us into that unknown. We're gonna do a live demo for you. I have no idea what's gonna happen, the unknown. But I invite the unknown, and partly because I have no idea what even the next screen is gonna be. Let's see. Oh, that's me. I have no idea. Let's have some fun here. That's me too. And that's me. I was born in the 60s, and I'm not gonna go too much into it because I have, I think, a workshop tomorrow. But in the early 70s, my mother gave me away at boarding school in Oxford in England. I was 5. Traumatic. And that was one of many things that happened. So by the time I was 7, luckily she brought me to Tibetan Buddhism. And Tibetan Buddhism is where I discovered meditation. But it is also where I discovered connection, feelings, compassion, being held, presence. I never even saw that kind of stuff. The first 7 years I was in trauma, absolute trauma. And many of you in this room are carrying it today. And it shows up in relating, whether it's with your colleagues, your partners, or your family members. So I want to name that, I'm 55 now. And for almost 30 years, I have no tension in my body, none. And I'm not athletic, as you can see. My menopause, past my menopause. I have no tension because I don't carry the stress in my body. No more, done. I know how to deal with it. So I have to give credit to my mother, who actually, there's a very deep story here. As sweet as this photo looks, I'm not going to go into it because I really want to honor the time here and do some live work. But, this woman had a hardship life, from being homeless on the street to having me and losing me multiple times until I was 7. So she has gone a long way, this is us in London, to survive as an uneducated woman. And I'm 3rd generation. I mean, all the women in my generation, my mom was the first who could read and write. Let's see if I can figure this out. So in the years that I've been doing this work, I'm 48 years on a meditation, spiritual, personal development journey. I've dedicated my entire life to this, to the human factor, to everything that is about you and your inner world, to what is stopping you, what is holding you back, what makes you want to explode and punch somebody or kill somebody. I just heard it back there, backstage. I feel for the guy back there. It's a lot what you guys carry in a day. In one day, you carry this. And if something's not moving or working, or the fund isn't there, or you didn't meet your goals or expectations or whatever measurements you're, holding yourself up to, it gets carried and stored and stored and stored. Where do you think all that energy goes? In the body. And then if you don't give it any airtime, feelings, expression, and I'm not just talking about top level feelings, I'm talking about uncomfortable feelings where you really expose some of those shadow parts of yourself, where you start to, fuck, this is what I'm carrying. And I'm so scared you're gonna leave me if I tell you, kind of feelings. Because if you don't do your inner homework, anything that's unresolved here is gonna get projected out in your environment. And it's going to create conflicts, consciously or unconsciously. And how you lead your teams. If you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself, how are you going to have a healthy relationship with others? If you don't know thyself, your deeper kind of, fuck, what do I need? What's going on? What am I feeling right now? Slow down. You're going to miss so many cues in the people that you work with and not know how to hold them. And you're going to lose presence, not only with them, but with yourself. And you're going to lose patience with yourself, yes, and with them. It's going to impact many things. So I have brought the heart to many different companies, but to be honest, if I'm honest, this isn't my big area of work. My big area of work is retreats and facilitations, teaching people how to lead. So I don't want to go too much into this. One of my favorite people I had to put up there, Bruce Lipton. But I want to do this. Because I want to give a little bit of demonstration to how I work with these two centers. You guys already know this. You guys are very good at this. In fact, entire education systems are built to support this. And yet there's this whole other part that can feel scary and unknown if I really start to open and show myself. And it's starting to happen, by the way, because remember, 48 years, I watched, even I used to say meditation about 25 years ago, and people would say, meta what? And you know, they look at me really weird. You know, I was kind of like this freak, you know, and now it's becoming, you know, known. Probably a lot of people in this room know it, and maybe even a few of you are doing it. Highly recommend it, by the way. If you want to learn how to ground yourself, center yourself, refocus, go from doing mode into listening mode, and get to know thyself. So I have no idea what's going to happen. I love working with the unknown. And I want to give already the courageous person that is about to come up here and work with me, you know, a big hats off to coming up here, because as I also don't know, so it takes courage to come up here, yeah? So I'm gonna ask who here is ready to volunteer to come up here and do a little one-on-one coaching here. I'm looking. Yeah? You ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, come on up. I'm not sure this is on. I think it is. Oh, yeah, wow, okay, well, you're quick. Okay, maybe we can do this one. Test, yeah. Although I don't know if that just came through this or, yeah, okay, great. Say your name.
I'm Henrik.
Henrik, okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I'm going to do something I don't always do. I do it in my facilitation leadership training, which is when I work with him, I speak with you. So you get context and understanding, because in order to get your trust, I need to get your understanding. Then maybe you will go a bit deeper and deeper. Let's see, yeah? But I'm going to do it that way. Usually, when I'm working in my retreats, I just work directly here and I'm not informing, yeah? Hi.
Hey.
So what I often say, Henrik, because you know what we do is we override so much going on inside of us internally, and to come up here even can be a little bit like bubbly. Wow, I'm coming up, you know. So even when I ask somebody, would you like to come up and work with me? It doesn't matter if it's in a room like this or in a retreat. I always ask them to, let's just take a look together, because we all have this childhood memory of what it was like to be at the top of the class. I know I do. And just to see, I know it's hard to see these people, but just to see what happens somatically when you look at the people, or feeling based. Now when I say somatically, we're looking for things like tension, tightness, you know, where you might be holding a bit of bubbly nervousness in the solar plexus, or maybe a feeling. Maybe it could be shaky, fear, what the fuck am I doing here, get the fuck out of here now, you know, whatever it is. Do you sense anything looking in this?
It took me a moment. First of all, I see a lot of light and I don't see any faces. I had shaky legs when I came on stage.
Yeah.
I think I generally have a tense body. Right now I feel calm and focused on.
Yeah. Can I ask what you do? This just helps me to know what environment you put this into on a...
I would like to say I'm a professional life liver, but I've been an entrepreneur since I was 14 years old.
Wow, okay. So, I can see that you hold a lot of tension. I work somatically, this is how I work, yeah? I work through these two domains and this one over here, the unknown, yeah? So, of course, I'm naturally curious. I can go into digging in a little bit about what's happening present day in your life to create this tension, but I'm equally curious about what happened earlier on in your life because you're carrying it, you know? So...
Where do we want to start?
So, all right. Do you feel that tension right now?
Yes.
Where do you notice the tension?
I'd say primarily in my neck. I have a bit of a chronic neck pain or tension in my shoulders. I think also my jaw, my hip. I feel like I had the pleasure of meeting her last night over dinner, and she guessed my age to be 19, but I feel very old, as you can tell. And I'm not 19.
Now, as you look at me, we've had now a little bit of rapport. What happens here or here? When I say here, I mean through your body, and if there's anything happening here. Take a moment.
My chest is tense. I think I find it hard to connect with my gut,
Okay.
and maybe also my heart.
Okay. So I'm going to do something that's a little bit of a out of the box step, and we only go as far as you want, and it's important that you know you have choice, yeah? Because to be able to say no is something that's really important. Otherwise we overwhelm our systems and then we go to burnout, right? So is there early on in your childhood, and this is where you're in that developmental phase, especially around how you manage feelings and stress. That was a good breath I just saw you took. Is it mother or father or both where you felt connection or disconnection?
Good question. I thought there would be nothing interesting in my family constellation, but I looked into it with a coach one day.
Yeah.
And it turned out that I see myself somewhere next to my parents and not closely related, even though we have a good relationship. So I'd say rather distant, both.
Okay. So I want to also ask you a personal question. You go as far as you want to go. Remember, no is important, yeah? Is there something in your awareness, which is a lot of what I work with, which helps us to know thyself, yeah? That you can see that the little Henrik, am I saying your name right? Has somehow set in motion mentally to be successful achiever. And I'm asking you this question, and I want a lot of you in this room to also hear that question. The mechanism to achieve and achieve and achieve can be divided in many parts. And one can be so that mother, father sees me.
I think there's a tendency. I feel like even nowadays I'm constantly fighting. But in particular, when you asked this question, early on I went to school far away from home. I skipped 2 classes and I went to school for highly intelligent people. I hated it. Didn't want to connect with anyone there, and I had to leave the house at 6:15 in the morning every day. And I remember I spent probably half an hour crying in my room every day because I didn't want to go. And I wiped away my tears, got down, didn't tell my parents maybe until 1 or 2 years ago. I went to school and got back in the evening.
How old were you?
Probably 8.
8. So you were 8 years old and you went away to a school and you were crying and you were alone and you didn't tell anyone about it in that time period. Is that what I understand?
Yes.
And how many months did that go on for?
7 years. I wasn't crying every day though.
No, of course. Yeah, what you probably figured out a way is an intelligent strategy to be in the environment you're in how to adjust. You know, things like, hold your feelings, man up. I feel for you guys because you have an extra layer of it's not okay to show and express your feelings. But what that then does for you, not only in your nervous system, but also in your mental health, is you have to hide compartments of yourself. And then in order to be seen or in order to feel good enough, we then can overcompensate in areas such as achieving, which is not wrong. Let's be very clear. Achieving is not wrong. Doing great things for the world is not wrong. It's just you have to be mindful at the price that we do it at to carry tension for the rest of your life. No fucking way. I'm not going to do it. Yeah? So if mom and dad were here right now, we just place them right here, right now. And then we place that 8-year-old Henrik here, right now. And just see if you can feel him for a moment, because he was, obviously very vulnerable in that place, and he didn't have the support. And he wasn't held, which is a big one. I really appreciate what one of the speakers said about contact, because I work with contact every day. What would you want to say for his voice to your mother and father? Just check to see if anything comes. If you were speaking for him to your mother and father, something that he never got to complete.
Never. Okay, let's put it in my words. Hey, mom. Hey, dad. I feel lonely, and I'm afraid I don't want to go to school. Give me a hug.
How's that? What do you feel or sense? Just to check.
I still feel tense. Not allowing myself to feel that much, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a lot where we are. Yeah. It's not easy to just kind of go. But you want to say something more? No. So, how was their involvement in your life in that 7 years? Were they there in the evening, in the morning, or intermittently? Did you feel a lot of their love and support when you were with them? Did you feel the contact and the connection? Hey, I see you, I'm with you, I love you, you're doing a great fucking job, which is, by the way, missing in a lot of people's lives, that messaging.
I didn't see it at the time. I see it now. I always had full support from my parents. They always let me do whatever I want. I was always a little bit, maybe, my dad, for example, he changed jobs just to be able to pick me up from school because it was far away and take me to my training. I didn't see it as a sign of unconditional love at the time, but my parents were always like that. There was never an intention to not be there for me, but for some reason I always felt like I was on my own. In fact, they always thought I had lunch money to buy lunch, like I got lunch for free at school, but I actually had to earn it at school to buy my lunch, and I never told them. I don't know where it comes from.
Wow, okay. Sadly, we don't have enough time to unpack this, but there is a big wounding in that because it's layered with aspects of isolation, shame, and unworthiness. It's pretty big. And then imagine if we, and I'm going to speak to them for a moment, imagine if any of you have had any of these kinds of life experiences, and then you're just kind of compartmentalizing those feelings, and you found ways to kind of continue, but the wounding is still there. Am I enough? Am I good enough? And it shows up in different symptoms in the body, it shows up in the imposter syndrome, and it shows up in all different ways, in not being able to relate with partners and so on, and communication styles. And that wounding, when getting repaired, which is the work that I do, can start to create the shift in the messaging that we tell ourselves today. It's like Henrik 2.0, yeah? So I just love to do it, because am I okay on time? I'm just checking because I can't see. I'm good? It's 5 minutes? Okay, so I'd just like to do one thing, but more somatic, with you. I'm going to ask if you could close your eyes for a moment. Yeah, if that's okay. I'll take your for this. And I know this is a new setup, and I know we're here, but I'm going to say something with the insurance of my heart right now, that right now you're safe. Okay, thank you. So when you're ready, let your eyes close. And I'm going to bring your father here. And I want you to have a somatic feeling of what it feels like to receive support from your father with just a simple hand on the back, and just see if you can receive this contact for a moment, and notice even how your body registers this contact. It might be challenging, of course, we're in a big environment right now, I get it. But see if you can even feel a micro sense of, right now, I am supported in this moment. You do. And if you feel, and I know we talked a little bit around the topic around control, totally up to you, Henrik. But if you feel, you can take 2%, 3% leaning back and allowing your body to really receive this contact. It's almost a little bit of the let go on the tip of your toes. Right now, I am supported. And
Feels good. I feel it tingling from my body.
And if we were going to continue working in this, we would take little Henrik and we would bring him present inside of you, and you would tell him, right now, you are supported, you are safe, you are not alone. Bearable? Is that okay? How is that for you? Something softened in your face, I want to say.
It feels like feeling a little less weight, more relaxed.
Yeah. So I could go in 10 different directions from here, but we don't have the time. But you do get a chance to hug your dad really quick. Really quick, we need to take care of that inner space. It's what you're carrying every day, and it impacts your mental well-being. And it's not just an intellectualized thing. Self-development is not an intellectualized thing. You really need to get that. And when you get that, you will start to really see deep change from the core in, and it will start to change how you speak forward in your future life. It's changed my life. From being a homeless teenager and being completely broke, and to where I stand today. I couldn't be here if I didn't repair my traumas. Yeah. So, I hope to see some of you tomorrow. Thank you, beauties, for showing up.